Welcome to Be Now for May 24th, and my name is Don McLeod, and hopefully everyone enjoyed today because it was fantastic. Nice sunny day out there, perfect weather. Well, we're going to get right into it. Last Wednesday at council meeting, there was a whole bunch of different things going on. One of the ones that we wanted to talk about, were actually one or two, but we're going to roll it into one. We're going to show you a clip right off the bat. It was basically, this is one of the people in the Brampton University, and she was one of the lead people on it, and play that clip.
Did you at any time, or did anyone ever make it clear that, we're not using the normal protocol or the process, or that we should do it in a particular order?
There was an incident that took place late January 2020. Councillor Santos called and said I was not enthusiastic about some sort of a delivery. And then she came into CEO's office, and there's witnesses to this. She shouted at me, and I asked, why are you speaking like that? And then she went to the then CEO at the time, Mr. Barrick, and met with him. So I'm not familiar exactly what took place after that. My apologies, just members of council.
So this person was on the Brampton U file, and last Wednesday, council, they wanted to do a forensic audit. $600,000 was paid to the consulting firm to actually bring a university and a proposal to the province for a university in Brampton. I think the total bill was over $600,000. So the council, which is the block basically, there's 6 councillors that form the block. 3 of them decided to basically appoint themselves as forensic audit because apparently the CAO doesn't have enough people to do it. And they want to hire a firm. So the 3 councillors are Martin Medeiros, Pat Fortini, and Jeff Bowman. They want to get together with the CEO, pick a firm that's going to be doing basically a forensic audit on the $600,000. And this was brought up, and they asked Carr to comment on the situation. And she brought up the fact that apparently Rowena Santos, Councillor Santos, shouted at her, which anyone in the public sector knows, there was a big gasp from the council like this was some unknown. Well, you know what? I've been working most of my life and I've been shouted at on a regular basis. But apparently it's a big, woo, it's terrible, shouting at someone. Here's Councillor Dillon with his response.
This council needs to stand unified in addressing that complaint that just came in. And I've already stated that the young lady, Gurdeep Kaur, is very brave to have mentioned it. Just seeing her face, just seeing her body language of how nervous she was, how uncomfortable of a situation she was put in. I don't think she had any idea she was going to be called down here to answer. She answered bravely. She answered openly. And I think this council's responsibility is to address that rather than kicking it to the side.
Okay, here's a problem I have with that coming from Gurpreet Dillon. He basically was found guilty by the fired IC, the recently fired IC, of 4 codes of conduct violations, one including sexual harassment, where he was in Turkey in a room, not his room, but a woman's room, and she said no 74 times, all right? Now, all of a sudden, he's talking about body language. To me, that's a little bit creepy. I'm sorry, but you know what? I don't take advice in regards to Councillor Dillon in regards to body language in women. Going forward, it makes no sense. The council decided to pass a motion to send this directly to the Integrity Commissioner in Peel. Since we fired ours, we don't have one, right? So they wanted to send this directly to the... Carr had never made a complaint. We have a human resources department. Well, they fired the human resources director, but they have human resources. She didn't complain to human resources. She could have. That's her prerogative. But council, in its infinite wisdom from the 6th, the block, basically pushed by Pat Fortini, decided to send this directly to the Integrity Commissioner at Appeal. Here's what Patrick Brown had to say.
I'm uncomfortable with the complaint coming from City Council. I think if the complainant wants to have it investigated, then that complaint could be registered. Let me say, I think any complaint should be looked at. But I have never seen Councillor Santos bully anyone in the 4 years that I have known her. I've never seen her raise her voice, and so this is inconsistent with what I have seen. And if anything, I've seen her speak against a bullying of any kind. And I'm sure a process that investigated it would always show the merits of any allegations. So I welcome the notion that any complaint would be investigated.
All right, so he's saying basically the same thing. It's like, why is council putting this forward? If she wanted to put an investigation, she could have filed the complaint. Basically, Harpreet Singh commented later on saying, it seemed to be basically they were out to get Rowena Santos. She's connected in some way, shape, or form to the $600,000 in the thing. Anyway, I'm writing an article on it. I'm going to be putting it out later, going through all the ins and out of it. But the bloc seems to have a firm grasp. They say they're not a bloc, but every time there's a vote, it's the same 6 that are voting together on a regular basis. And in the meantime, as I said before, you have Pat Fortini, Martin Medeiros, and Jeff Bowman, who apparently have now become added to the resume forensic audits. Like, you have to go to school for this. You have to go to accounting, be a chartered accountant. But going forward, we're gonna like I said before, we haven't dropped this. So, all right. So going forward, we're gonna leave that alone. We're gonna invite Ruby Sahota to us. MP, Brampton North, Ruby Sahota. Welcome, Ruby.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me on.
Good. We wanted to talk to you a couple of weeks ago, actually about a month ago, when the Stellantis investment basically in EV production at the old, what they call it, the old Chrysler plant, still, I call it that in Brampton, supplies 3,000 jobs to people in Brampton. It's a big plant, and the federal government is throwing money at the EV production. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the federal government is throwing in?
Investments. We're making smart, calculated investments, Don. That's what I would call them. And you know what? For a long time, the unions, the employees at what used to be the Chrysler plant, now called the Brampton Assembly Plant, led by Stellantis, has been working with the federal government in finding solutions to their mandate that was about to come to an end. So many Bramptonians, and in particular those that are somehow connected to the work done at the plant, whether it's directly or indirectly, would know that in 2023, the mandate for the 2 vehicles they're currently building, the Charger and the Challenger, was to be expiring. And for some time, there's been a lot of fear that the Brampton plant, since they had been decreasing shifts and decreasing the number of employees over the last several years, was in jeopardy of basically losing any product lines there. And so this fear had been going on for a long time. There was an investment done previous to this to update and modernize the paint plant, modernize the facility, I would just say. But this investment, I think now really sets us up for the future in Brampton, sets us up for decades to come. But in particular, within this agreement, we know that we will have safe, well-paying, middle-class jobs in Brampton for the next 10 years. And I'm sure with the success that we will see in Brampton, that it will go beyond that, because the one thing we do hear from the Stellantis CEO is that Brampton is one of the most efficient plants in all of North America. So my question was to him as well, but why the threat of Brampton constantly decreasing shifts if it is the most efficient plant and our employees are the highest skilled employees? This is where the investment should be made. And so through this agreement and the federal money spent, we are going to now have 3 shifts in Brampton. And we're going to have EV vehicles that are going to be manufactured right here at home.
So how much is the federal investment going to be, and when is the investment starting? You mentioned 2023. Is that when the changeover is going to happen? Basically, are there going to be any combustion engines done at that plant, or is it going to be total production over to EV?
From the conversations and what I've heard, I am envisioning a complete shift and turnover to EV vehicles in that plant. But I can't be certain. I mean, those are things that Stellantis is weighing right now. There could possibly be still the lines that are created now. Perhaps that's still in the mix somewhere, but the focus really will be to modernize the facility so that the EV vehicles can be created. The investment that you asked me about federally is $529 million, and there's a total investment from all three partners, including Stellantis, of $3.6 billion. And so this goes to the Brampton plant, to the Windsor plant, and also the Automotive Research Development Center in Windsor that's going to be working on research and development of batteries, of testing and manufacturing these batteries, and making sure that we're continuing to innovate and make sure we have the best quality and battery life produced right here at home.
Well, that's a big investment from the federal government. I know the provincial government, I think Doug Ford said they were going to throw $130 million into the pot as well. So all three levels of government are actually putting stuff in, which is great. I mean, that's what you have to do. EV production, it's too bad Doug Ford ripped out, or canceled a lot of the charging stations. That's another thing that's going to have to be dealt with going forward. What about rebates? For the EV, I know the Doug Ford took the rebates out as well. But I know that a lot of people talking about one of the biggest things for electrical vehicles is bikes. There's a waiting time on bikes more than anything else. What about the federal government giving rebates on either cars or bikes as well? Is that something down the line? Because people are, you're stuck in a car. You don't want to buy a $60,000 car as well. I mean, there's a big price difference in regards to that, and a commitment.
Yeah, both things go together. They go hand in hand. We can't be now the manufacturers of EV vehicles, and this is going to be a big transition in our manufacturing in Ontario. We need to also be putting in charging stations, and our government in this recent budget and past budgets has already invested in Brampton heavily. We just did a recent announcement of new charging stations here in Brampton, but there are several that had been put in place previously as well. And a rebate. We do have a federal rebate, Don. There's a $5,000 rebate at the federal level. There's a list of EV vehicles. You can check them out at Canada.ca that qualifies. So there are vehicles under 65,000, 70,000 that would qualify for this rebate. It's unfortunate that the province has canceled their rebate, because combined it really does make it an extremely attractive option for people. But some of the other parties provincially that are running right now are offering that in their platforms. So I would just say an election is around the corner.
Well, election's around the corner. The thing is, the people are getting older. E-bikes are a good way, and like you can buy a good one for $2,000 or less, but it's still $2,000. You want people to get out of cars and internal combustion, instead of buying, we don't all make an MP's pay,
You're right. You're right.
So,
You're right, but there are a lot of attraction options right now, and bikes are one of them as well. I will take that feedback back, and I envision a world where we continue to do investments, and those are the conversations we're having at the federal level. We didn't just commit to these rebates in this last budget. We committed several budgets ago, so this is something that's been in the works and is a part of our plan to take us into making sure that we're a more environmentally responsible and friendly country, even through our promotion of manufacturing and while we're creating jobs. So absolutely, Don. And there is, through this investment, you're going to see that people will have more options available to them at different price points.
Well, we'll keep checking on you, because I want to see that e-bike rebate coming forward in the next budget. Okay, so we're going to cover that. We're going to talk to you more about EV in the future. We'd love to have you back. But right now, we're going to cover Canada Summer Jobs. I know right now that we hire Canada Summer Jobs students. We've been doing it for the past 6 or 7 years. And all 5 ridings have been generous in giving us the Canada Summer Jobs program. We mentor them. We have 2 of them on right now that are basically joining us, Haral And Gurleen is a medical science student at Western, and Haral is a bigwig in the sports industry out in Vancouver, right? So they've gone through our program. We like to bring back students that we've had before as mentors to the younger ones. So tell us a little bit about both you, Gurleen and Haral. What is the big takeaway that you've got from the Canada Summer Jobs Program? And you can tell directly to Ruby Sahota. She can take it right back to Ottawa.
I'll start. So I want to say the thing that really stuck out to me about this job experience is I never thought that having a job like this would be possible when you're only 16 or 17 years old. Usually the types of things we do, work in media, work with professionals, work with businesses, those are things that people go to school and they have a career before they can do. And so it's really cool to me, and it's really helped me grow as a person, as a professional, to be able to be thrown right into my community and actually get to do a lot of these things that I've done with Brampton Focus the past couple of years.
And I think for me, the key word is opportunity. As a student kind of coming into the summer months as a university student, I think the Canada Summer Jobs Program gives the opportunity for us to work and find work placements within our own community. Obviously, something that you don't really learn about as a university student or a high school student is how to find a job. And through the Canada Summer Jobs Program, just being able to stay connected with your community and learn about different organizations that are allowed and able to employ the youth through this program not only allows, I think, non-for-profit organizations an opportunity to connect with the youth and give them opportunities, but for the youth themselves, like myself, the opportunity to work in my community, learn about my community while not having to worry too much about finding an internship that allows me to earn money on the side is the key takeaway and probably the biggest pro of this program.
Ruby, this program has been operating for quite some time. It's open to anyone from 15 to 30 years old, and it's open to nonprofits as well as profit organizations. How much has the federal government actually poured into this program over the last 3-4 years?
Well, I don't know the whole number, but I do know over just the last 2 years, it's about $7.4 billion. This program is close to our hearts. There have been talks sometimes about, most recently expanding the program, because we know that students have had a tough go along with a lot of people when it comes to employment. And we have taken this program, though, and really increased it. We put it on turbocharge. We doubled it when we first came in, and we've been putting a lot more into it. There's over 140 placements, and I liked how Haral put it, opportunities that have been created for young people. So 140,000 opportunities. And I'll tell you, just in my riding alone, and that's just Brampton North, geographically, we're pretty small in Brampton because we've got a pretty healthy population now. So just going from Mayfield to Highway 10 to Torbram and approximately Brevard and Williams Parkway, there's 428 jobs through this program that are federally funded, going to anyone who would like between the ages of 15 and 30 to apply for. And I think that's great. It is non-traditional jobs, like flipping burgers is what I imagine for the most part applying to when I was young, or retail. Every now and then I got something out of the box, but it was very rare. And so it's really nice to see that opportunities that you provide, Dawn, through Brampton Focus are the type that are not readily available to young people. And it's true, when you're spending your own money, and a not-for-profit has a hard time fundraising money, to be able to hire a lot of students would just be unfathomable and not possible without the support of the government. So it's really a win-win for our social sector and for young people.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity that a lot of young people don't get. And it's, as you said before, flipping burgers, the skill in flipping burgers is not a high level skill. I think that, over the years that we've had our people that have gone through Brampton Focus, we've changed in everything else. How we deal with people, obviously during the pandemic, everything was online, but hopefully most of them take away a good skill set. I don't know, Haral, what was your skill set that we gave you?
That's a great question. I ask myself that every day, and I often wonder what my own skill set is. But I think professional speaking and communication at a professional level is probably one of the key takeaways. I don't think at this time, when I first started as an intern at Brampton Focus, I would be able to appear on a show like this and be able to professionally and articulately conduct myself. Clearly, I'm already running into
Good.
problems, so there's a lot of work in progress there. But just having the exposure and the opportunities to work and communicate with other professional stakeholders in the community is it's an untapped skill that can only be improved on consistently and continuously. And it's not an opportunity that many students get. So it's a great opportunity to kind of kickstart my career by being able to conduct professionally and be able to kind of stand my own ground and hold my own in professional settings.
So,
Let
Gurleen, I
me
want to
just
ask you the
say-
same question because I know that actually you got your job at Brampton Focus through Ruby Sahoda's job fair that she had. And what is your big takeaway from working with Brampton Focus over the last period that you have been?
I'm so glad you asked me this question, Don, because listening to her role speak actually gave me enough time to formulate and articulate my own answer to this question. I want to say that as a high school student, you very much think that the one field you're interested in is the field you're going to stick with your entire life. So as a student who was interested in science and healthcare, I thought the only opportunities for me to develop the necessary skills would be things like volunteering in a lab or volunteering in a hospital. And I think doing this experience and being forced to challenge myself, be on camera, meet new people, and problem solve, those are all very relevant skills in any field, whether that be healthcare, research, science. And they're all skills that I've developed through the opportunities I've had at Brampton Focus. So I think if I can kind of conclude it with one sentence, I think it's forced me to kind of challenge the box that I lived in and really see the world as more interdisciplinary. And I think that's really helped me.
Can
Perfect.
I
Well,
just
thank
say,
you. You
Tom?
can say one. You can have the last word, Ruby.
Yes, I have to say, and I wanted to say it earlier, that Hiral and Gurleen, you're extremely articulate. That is definitely a skill set you both possess. And it's really been a pleasure to be on this panel with you and hear from you. I'm very impressed, and I might come take some tips from the two of you.
Well, perfect. Thank you very much for joining us, Ruby. Well, I'd love to have you on in the future to talk. I know you're very busy with all your youth councils and everything else, but when we get the opportunity, we'll love to talk to you. Hiral, good luck, buddy, out on the East Coast, or the West Coast, sorry. And Gurleen, good luck at your second year at Western, and we will see everyone next Tuesday. Thank you for joining us.